absolutely nothing is more important to me than cultivating relationships, be it as an entrepreneur or anything else. Fundamentally, it is much more valuable to be relationship driven than transactional driven. So when I started my own company, I started it around that concept. I wanted to create something where I'm doing what I love to do as the thing that runs my company and have me as that role. So I built it around creating relationships, or at least I set out to build it around creating relationships. And where it's led me is the idea that as somebody who has been a fanatical networker, a fanatical friend builder my entire life, I've realized that content is the amplifier, is the kerosene, is the scale around relationship building. So as an entrepreneur, I find myself creating relationships around content creation. I'll give you an example. Having a podcast, anybody that I want to get to know a little bit better, I have them on the podcast. I get to interview them. I get to know them. I get to find out what their priorities are, what their superpowers are, what makes them tick. And then I repurpose the video into short form segments that I share on my social media about them and tagging them. So I connect with them on social, I create content around them, and then I spread their message. And once I do that, now I'm in their ecosystem. And because I'm always posting on social media, I have this presence, whereas where I'm in front of them. And that gets it so that whatever relationship I build today, I'm still top of mind for them as it goes on. Now, how do I keep up with them? Quite frankly, I stay engaged in social media, and I just never think twice. If I think of somebody, I send them a text. I love sending people video messages. If there's something I think that you'll like, I'll just buy it on Amazon and I'll send it to you. And don't overthink the reach out, right? Like there's people that you meet, that you work with, or that you meet at a conference or you meet professionally. There's nothing wrong with immediately sending that person a video message the next day. Just like, man, I was just thinking about this conversation, right? Like no matter how little the interaction was, if I'm reminded of someone, I'm going to take that initiative to reach out to them. And if it's text, right? Like I love to send video messages. Video messages are very present. And I've done this when I've connected with like best-selling authors on my podcast, and it went really, really well. One guy I have in mind is Robin Dreek. He's the ex-head of behavior analysis for the FBI. Because it went well, the next day when I thought of something that reminded me of him, I literally sent him a text video. And he's like, oh my God, nobody ever does this. And it's cool. And now we text video back with each other, right? So I use content in multiple different ways. One is the creation of it, that forms the bonds. And then keeping up with people based on video messages and voice messages, it's just way more personal than email or text. So I do that a lot. As far as my personal relationships, that's a little bit harder because as an entrepreneur, you're kind of an alien. And the only way that it happens is through deliberate design. You have to create those moments where you are making time for your family and for your friends. For my sister, who gave me this warning sign that I'm not paying enough attention to her, I now have a standing call with her at 7:30 in the morning on Tuesdays and Fridays. Just is what it is. I call her for 15 minutes. With my mom, kind of the same thing. It's less standardized, but I know that in my clock, I call her every 1 to 2 days because I know she needs that. With my dad, I don't have to talk to him as often. We're guys. So dad just kind of handles itself, and I go to him for advice when I need it. And for my best friends, quite frankly, I used to be in a lot of groups, a lot of WhatsApp groups. That is a really easy way to keep in contact with people. And just knowing that you're in one of these like chats, you're able to just kind of like chime in or like catch up whenever and add to something. But it's really keeping up with relationships, just being present, letting people know that you remember them. And most importantly, when you think of somebody, send them a message, right? That will allow you to take care of itself. And then my big one is when I'm on road trips, I just call everybody, right? I just go through my phone. I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to this person in 2 years. I call them. So I do it a lot. And I really think it's important. And if there's one takeaway, it's this idea that making content, allows you to interact with people in a specific way. Distributing that content allows you to stay top of mind and stay present to people. And having those pieces that you can share with people allows you to introduce people to each other and show that you are providing value no matter how you're doing it. And as an entrepreneur, you just got to understand that you're going to have a bucket of friends that are entrepreneurs that get what you're doing. And then you're going to have a bucket of your friends from your old life before you decided to be an entrepreneur. And the only way that that's going to work is if you actually pay attention to it and deliberately make time for the people that matter the most. So prioritize.